Oh. Give it a couple minutes before we start. Shayna, how you doing? Let's see. All right, so today we're going to talk about epigenetics. Now, in order to understand epigenetics, right, I posted a link on YouTube. Yeah, well, first of all, in biology life, I have a few things about um, epigenetics there on my YouTube account. I posted a link to a video today on my Twitter about epigenetics with Bruce Lipton. So Bruce Lipton is one of like kind of like the god of epigenetics. So before we go into epigenetics, like heavy, because this is going to be some good stuff. It's going to open some eyes here. Before we go into epigenetics, hey Jess, what's up? Um, we are going to talk about just these videos, because some people have been asking me, like, Matt, why are these videos so long? Why are you making videos that are like 35 to an hour every single time you do it? So the reason that I make videos this long, right, is because a lot of this information takes attention, right? So you have to be very attentive. Like these videos, if you really take this serious, are longer videos to watch. So if I'm kind of being like your middleman in between some of this stuff, I have to get you guys ready to be and your focus ready to be able to be attentive to a video for that long. Because a lot of us we're in that new age shit where we want it now, 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 now. But the problem is that information doesn't usually come like that. And for a lot of us, we don't have the comprehension ability to understand it, even if it was put so simply to us, right? So, with that being said, um, let's jump into epigenetics. So, first thing to talk about in epigenetics, we have to break down the word epigenetics, all right? So, what does epi mean? Epi means above, right? So, above the genes. So, when you think about this for a second, right, it's saying that everything in life, right, that affects your genes doesn't have to always be from within inside of your body, right? So, like we've talked about in the last couple weeks, so my perception becomes my reality, right? So, epigenetics is based on the quantum theories now, because we have to remember there are two different theories that we have in the world today. We got the Newtonian theory, and then you got the quantum theory. So Newtonian theory is the matter base, right? So that is where all the old, like, so again, from Newton on, we had this idea of matter, right? The world is consistent of matter. But after 1925, we started to come up with this idea, this quantum theory, which is that the world is energy. We are all forms of energy, vibrations, things of that nature. So you have to remember, with these two basic theories and philosophies that kind of interpreted our world, both of them are applicable, right? But Newtonian is where you find your kind of traditional medicine. On the quantum side is where we find that actually like the holistic side of things makes sense, talking about energies, right? Because science uses this philosophy, but they don't like to talk about energy, right? And the regular health medical like practice uses energy, like CAT scans, things like that. You're just registering certain energy frequencies within the body. So these disease cells and things of this nature, CAT scans, CT scans, things of this. If you look at the video from Bruce Lipton, he'll be able to go into like the technical things. I'm just here to give you guys the good overview in layman's terms so that you can get an understanding and then go watch it, right? So epigenetics basically says that because of your perception on the world, because of the environment that you're in, your cells will respond concordantly, right? So you have like the fight or flight, things of this nature. So depending on the state of being I am in, right, my cells are going to react. So when we talk about these people who are terminally ill, right? They get diagnosed, they got 3 months to live, right? There's two ways that people go about it usually. There's one person that accepts their fate, right? And usually they pass along. But then you got these people who just are like, I don't believe it, I'm not doing it. They go out and then they survive, right? Because they change their philosophy in life. They start manifesting health within their body. Because if you can eat your way into a sickness and all this, then you can eat your way out. If your mindset is wrong, which gets you into a space, you can always get yourself out. So epigenetics is literally telling you that you're your own worst enemy or your own best hero. So now we get to bring it back to what I was talking about before, that you are your savior. No one needs to go out and look for a savior. It's all just based on your perception around your reality. Now, how does this work? So, we have to associate ourselves first with our heart, right? First, we have to talk about the heart. There's another thing, documentary I have on there with Ben Winters, right? So he goes into this a little bit, the idea of bliss, right? The bliss theory. So bliss theory states that when my body is at a state of homeostasis or happiness, right? I am emitting and my heart is beating at a rhythm which allows my cells to properly split to do their thing because we have to remember everything's vibration. Truth. Completely true, all the way down to your cellular structure. So, if I'm ruining my vibration, now when we look at vibration, it stops being some trippy hippie stuff. It becomes real, right? So, depending on my vibration, where my frequency is, where my mindset is, my body's reacting towards it, right? So, if I'm always stressed out, I'm always stressing about things, my body's in a constant state of fight or flight. So, because my body is in a constant state of fight or flight, my cells are reacting to these things. All these different things are going on in my environment, things are changing up. So, most of the time, the best way to be healthy is to put yourself in a healthy environment, which is as simple and as complicated as it sounds for us, right? So how are ways, right? And how are some things that we can do to fix this, right? So right now I'm just taking the small. We're gonna step up into some of the bigger things. And we're gonna get into like the food bases, the rat trials, all these things, because epigenetics right now is getting like pretty big because now we're starting to be able to test it, right? So with these things that are going on and with these things that we're talking about here within epigenetics, um, I create my reality. So if I'm unhappy in my reality, if I'm things like this, your body actually always has certain sicknesses within it. You don't ever catch a cold, right? The idea and notion of catching colds and things of this nature is like voodoo. It's not actual, right? If we took a sample of everyone's blood right now, everyone has, like we've seen before, everyone has cancer cells in their body, everyone has diseases in their body, everyone has sicknesses in their body already, right? So if we already have these things within us, what stops us from being sick all the time, right? Just like when someone has like HIV or something like that, they can have it dormant in their cells for a long time, but all of a sudden they go through a certain stress, fatigue, something like that, and it triggers and allows the virus to activate. So, the easiest way to put it is to stop certain things. We have to just be mindful of our mindset and mindful of our environment. So, if your environment is constantly putting you at a state of stress or dis-ease, like we talked about before, and now I'm out of my state of homeostasis, right? I become more susceptible to certain illnesses and diseases. Quite simply, right? So you are what you see, you are what you eat, right? So if I'm eating stress things, if I'm eating things that I know are bad for me, my body knows because we're smart. we don't give ourselves enough credit for things, right? We don't give ourselves enough credit to know that if we saw something about something, that we know it's bad. And that's the problem. So when you're eating things or when you're taking things or you're doing drugs, you're doing all these different things, you're telling your body you don't really care about the side effects because we all know that the side effects are there, right? Because part of my living is my mentality about living and dying. If we look at all these things like live fast, die young, it doesn't matter, only one life to live. All these certain notions are spells because we speak when we are talking, we are spelling things out, right? So I am constantly putting myself under a spell because I'm living and embodying these irrational ideas. But in today's culture, we think these things are rational. We think these things are normal. So I find myself in this space where I'm singing these songs, I'm doing these things that don't make sense for my well being, but they make sense in some way that allows me to just do whatever I want. Now, with this, we have limitations. What we have to always remember is there's limitations to your reality. Now, with that being said, within those limitations, there's always great leeway. There's always great strides that you can make, all these beautiful things. But a lot of this, many beings don't know that their body can heal itself, or they can do simple things like reflect on themselves or meditate. Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Yeah, because we don't take our time. So you got to remember that for a lot of people, in order to get to that point, right? In order to get to the point where you understand that you can heal yourself, where you understand that your body is a self-sustaining organism. Your body from the day you're born is just trying to keep you alive as long as it can. Technically, your cells refresh every day. Your cells are living infinitely. Why is it that when people die, their hair still grows? Because there are cells that are infinitely living, no matter if you feed them or not. So we have to start looking at all the intricacies of society. We start looking at all the intricacies of the body, and then that's when we have to start to formulate opinions. So, am I saying that if you are terminally ill and you just meditate all day and think on like health, 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 well, you also have to be doing other things to show your body, right? I have to do things to manifest my reality in all sense of it, right? Because you have to be an alchemist in all senses of the word. You have to be an alchemist in lifestyle, social life, all these different things. You create your reality. Now, the more you remember and realize that you create your reality, you're going to start to realize that you are in complete control. So once you understand that you are in complete control of your reality, that means that one, there's a certain some people don't like that, right? The first thing you do, most people is they hate that. You want to fight away that feeling because when you do that, you don't have to come to terms with problems that you have, right? So if I think that all these like for me, for example, like I always had problems with the way like things were set up in my life. It didn't always seem like things were exactly the way they should be. Things were always like a little off or something's missing and it's just no. You have to remember that you make some of your reality. You make most of it. You bring that upon yourself. There's always something within things that go right or wrong that are a reflection of you. There's a reason why they happen, right? Sometimes there's a little like either if you get snapped, beat in the back by someone bites you in the back, stabs you in the back, you always know that they were going to do it. You essentially have a feeling, and that's true, right? That's true. Trust me, I had business ventures that went south, and there were sometimes when I was in the middle of the venture, and I was just like, uh-oh, like this is a little weird. But then you start to rationalize, right? We want to rationalize things. So again, like we talked about yesterday, our body backwards rationalizes. So we'll make a mistake and then our body will tell us it's okay, right? So we have to figure out that within this life and within this reality, how to create your pristine reality, your 100% like this is what I want. Now, the toughest part when we're trying to do this is that again like we talked about yesterday. That's why I feel like epigenetics was the first best piggyback on yesterday is association. So what do I associate to create my reality? Because essentially when we talk about ego creation, we talk about association, we talk about reality, these are all based on philosophies, foundations, ideas, principles, morals, all of these things, right? It's a all-encompassing thought when we think about what is your reality. What is your reality can't be summed up by something so minute, right? It's like there's so many things that make up. What do you want to be at? What do you want to be with? Where do you want to be? What are the places? What are some of the people you want in your life? All these things. Now, the problem is, right? And where you bring astrology in, you start to see that there are certain things that were predestined and set against you, right? Get the prenatal chart done. Everyone who watches these videos, if you haven't gone and got your prenatal done, go and do it and then come into this knowledge. Because what the prenatal chart does and what it does for most people is it can give you a set of like where you're at. Now, like, there's some people who may be off. I really don't know too many people who's actually goes and gets their birth chart done and says it's off. Because when you say stuff like this, there's some people who just react out of like just making shit up and just say, well, that didn't work for me. Because they probably just looked at what it meant to be just a Taurus or just an Aries. They don't understand that what the prenatal chart is, right? Prenatal chart is not just your astrological sign and then what a Taurus is like when you go online. And again, people like doing the Instagram and Facebook shit where they find out they're Taurus, they scroll down, and all of a sudden there's a little blurb about a Taurus. Tauruses are loyal, good in bed, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, that's what I'm going to associate. I'm a Taurus. No. When you get into your prenatal chart, you see that there are a lot more inner workings within your life because what we see is a light spectrum. So if we're talking about a light spectrum, we're talking about cosmic energy because everything is energy, right? Like we just talked about earlier, quantum theory, not Newtonian theory, quantum theory. Because if we start to understand quantum theory, we can start to manipulate matter, right? Because I have to understand the energy that is involved with matter. If I start to understand the energy involved with matter, the energy involved with creation, I can start to create my own reality. I can start creating things for myself. Now, this is hard, right? These are hard things to come with. Just to understand what your reality, what your love is, what your truth is the hardest thing for everyone to find. Because in society, we are pressured in to so many different things that don't really have anything to do with ourselves, right? So we get pushed into a menial job. So now we're being undermined, we're being degraded. We feel like we're not reaching our pinnacle or that we're not understood for exactly what we are. That's tough because that's gonna ruin your rhythm, right? It's gonna really kill your vibe, literally. Like Kendrick Lamar, bitch, don't kill my vibe. That's a real thing because you don't want that. Only thing you want to do in this world is be able to live on your vibration, right? And it's so important. There's so many reasons why it's important. Because when we look at these things, right, and we look at the way things work together, right, everything in the world works together, all these things are coming together to work, right, then you have to be in sync. So if I'm not in sync with myself, myself is not going to be doing this thing properly, right? If my mind's telling me one thing and then I'm doing another thing, then I know, because at the end of the day, you still see it. We don't think that our conscious is as real as it is, right? We think our conscious is something that we can manipulate, but our body is very tuned in, right? And the healthier you get, the more you understand your body is tuned in, because then you start syncing up with astrological energy and not just like randomness, right? Because right now we have a lot of people who are synchronized to randomness. When I say that, I mean even females, your like females' periods are all over the place, right? Men don't understand that they have a cycle. When men start to understand they have a cycle, culture is going to push forward. Because then they'll start understanding, whoa, I only really get horny a few times a month. That's crazy because I'm syncing up to a different cycle. Then you'll find that when you're with someone, you'll sync up to their cycle to the point where if you start sleeping in bed with someone and you're now sunk to the astrological cycle, you will then sync to her cycle. So when she's starting to go in to when she's ovulating, that's when you get horny. I swear to God, right? That's how this thing happens. So when you start to realize these things, you realize that there is a realness to magnetism, there is a realness to vibration, there's a realness to synchronicity, right? So once we start to establish these thoughts and start to understand the foundation of all this, we can start to move up, right? And once you start to move up, then you start really understanding yourself, right? I get the foundation of what this reality really is because a lot of us have to relearn reality. We've been trained. So reality turns into a relearning process because we think that social structure and dynamic are reality. We think that law, like not man law or nature law, we think that arbitrary law creates reality. We think that all these false things around us create reality. No, you create reality, right? If you don't want to see something, you don't have to see it. Literally, you don't have to see it. And that's where we have to start to understand that some of these things, if it's really stressing you, stop seeing it. Stop looking at it, because then it won't be real anymore, right? So it's essentially so easy as that, and it's so difficult as that today, because a lot of us don't really filter all the levels of our environment. And that's when we talk about being a conscientious observer. I'm a conscious observer, right? Because I am actually controlling my reality now. Now I'm not just allowing myself to fall like dominoes. So these people are hitting me up and I don't want to talk to them. Nope, I don't want to see them. Why? Because every time I'm with them, it doesn't feel right. But I'd go to hang out with them because I felt like I had to. You feel like an obligation, right? And that's the tough thing about family, right? We talk about family sometimes with people. And I know every time I talk about family, I know that someday someone in my family is going to go crazy, and that's okay. Because if they're gonna go crazy on me or get mad at me for how I speak about family sometimes, then they don't understand what it is. Because if someone if someone really hears what I'm saying, they always know that if someone's there to love you, then you always let them in your life. If someone's there to support you, then you let them in their life. But if someone's coming at you all the time as a counter, as like a argue, as all these things, get them out of your life, right? If you're trying to eat right and you're trying to get your shit together and you know why meat isn't good, but like you have someone in your family who's always trying to shit on you for, get them out of your life. Don't see them for a bit. Let them figure it out. Because and if they ask you why, be like, because I'm trying to do things with my life and you're not helping me get there. Because that's essentially what you need. All we want in life are people that are just going to push us higher, right? If they're not going to push you higher, get them out of your life because that's what they're here for, right? Essentially, every person in your life is here to either meet you at your vibration or raise your vibration. Or if you're raising, they're supposed to come with you, but some people don't. That's okay. But the more we hold on to that dead weight, the more that we go into stressful situations. And that's what makes epigenetics so important, right? Epigenetics is saying that yes, it's okay to keep moving. You have to keep moving. You have to keep pushing yourself to that point of happiness, right? Bliss with Dan Winters is telling us that we have to stay in a sense of bliss in order for our body to properly activate, in order for our genes to properly activate, right? We don't have junk genes. Science tells you have junk genes. That's not true. You just have inactive genes. But we also have genes that other civilizations don't express, right? All this cancer stuff, like this hasn't really been expressed till recently. Why? Because we are in cancerous environments, so it's only natural that our body starts reflecting these things. We're around cancerous people, so of course I'm gonna catch cancer. Of course I'm gonna be in, and not because like you don't catch cancer. Well, of course I'm gonna actually finally get cancer because all I'm doing is looking at cancerous people. I feel cancerous myself because I feel like I have to be opposed to everything, right? If you're always opposed to where you're at, you're always fighting, right? Now your body's in fight or flight. So if your body stays in that sense of fight or flight, you're in stress, you're in disease. You're not in homeostasis anymore. And that's the biggest point of life, is to be in homeostasis, right? It's to be in that place of calmness. Because once we stay in that place of calm and we can find calm, then you see that your body is able to recover because that's all it's looking for. All your body is looking for is a relaxed state so that it can establish its foundation as well. So that's the problem with most of us, right? We don't establish our foundation. So we don't really know where we're at. We use all these different outside cues to try and associate ourselves with. So now I don't know what my foundation is. My foundation is fluid. It's based on like whatever comes on TV, it's based on whatever comes here. So if my established foundation isn't there, then I start to move on things that aren't me. Now I become cancerous, right? So epigenetics is literally saying that down to your food, right? Down to the thing that you put in your body, you are your reality. So you are what you eat, you are what you see, you are what you do. All of these things encompass your health, right? So the more I'm moving towards what makes me happy, the more my heart is pumping properly, the less my body is in a state of disease, the more I can react to all these things that are going on around me. the more I can react to stressors, the more I can dodge stressor, the more I can dodge sickness, right? Because if I always have the flu technically inside of me, right? We can draw blood. Everyone has all the diseases in them right now. The only thing that keeps you from getting those diseases, right, is that your body is operating at a good rate, right? So the second I stress myself out, I get tired, right? Once you get stressed, you get tired. Then you get sick, right? You never catch a cold. Bullshit, right? Again, like I said earlier, that's voodoo, right? We have to start looking at things for what they are. So, epigenetics is literally saying you are your reality. So, with this information now, you control your reality. Reality is yours, right? Because what you are the creator, the conscious creator, right? So, if I know that, now that's a great responsibility on me, right? So, now I have to start to control the people that are around me. I have to start to control the things that are in my environment. Because everyone knows there are those people who suck energy out of you, those vampires, right? You go around some people and you're drained, right? You go around people in a good mood, you tell them why you're in a good mood, and they just, whoa. That's not what we're about. That can't be what it's about, right? Because if I'm already vibrating here and I come see you and you bring me down to here, now I'm diseased from where I was. Now I gotta somehow get myself back up to here. And we wanna stay here, right? So your life is about finding people that push you, elevation, right? Ascension. I can't ascend if there are people that are trying to make you descend, or there are people that are trying to not want you. Gotta move forward, right? So you have complete control of this reality. Now, Bruce Lipton, he's a fantastic person to talk to. You talk now. Let's go in a little bit deeper on this, right? Now, there's a TED Talks again in my biology of life on epigenetics. So what this TED Talks is talking about, right? They take a rat. So they take an albino style rat, right, that has a certain gene in its body. So they feed it certain things, and the rat comes out a certain way, and the baby of that rat is the same way. It's an albino rat, things like that. Now, after they had that first baby, right, they changed the initial rat's diet, right? They started feeding it different things and giving it different hormones. Now, wouldn't you just shake your head and just go crazy that the next rat that was born, right, was a brown rat? So because the first rat was fed something different, right, it was allowed to trigger and turn on certain genetics that then made a brown rat. But the first baby was an albino rat. But they changed the diet and now you have a brown rat. I'm not making this shit up, right? That's how powerful this is, right? Epigenetics is real. It's telling you that your reality is based on what you feed it. Now, if you live in a family, right? All your family eats the same way and they all have the same issues, right? The only way that you can keep yourself from having those issues is just change how you eat. Change your environment. Watch their environment and learn, right? And so that's what we look at people with depression, right? We look at depression in the family. Those things that are like depression carries. Because a lot of times you've been watching a depressed person your whole life. So your life becomes the depressed person's because you follow into their patterns. However, if you adopt a new theory on life and you start looking at things differently than they did, you literally circumvent depression because you no longer hold your reality in the principles that caused the depression in the person that you saw. So it's the beauty of epigenetics that says that it's so much more than just what we think it is now because we're not even working on the right theories to essentially create our reality. We're still thinking about the Newtonian theory. That's a throwback, right? We're off that. We're so off that. All the science and all the things coming to light in these last 5 years are telling you that the old way of thinking things aren't really true. That there's this new thing coming out, right? There are these new things that are reawakening us because we're starting to reawaken certain genes. The first way to start changing your diet up, change how much you drink. Because I always say those things because those are the easiest things. Because those are the things that people can control right away. It's hard. I know it's hard to do certain things. Like for me to tell you to be happy every day, that's freaking hard, right? Like I'm not even able to do that sometimes. Like I'm out here, it's cold as hell. I feel the difference, right? I'm out here 2 days. I feel like it's October 30th. It's changing my mood a little bit, but it's made me work harder, right? Now I listen to more positive affirmations and like try and get myself up there. Take a little more time to meditate. I got to be more mindful. right? But with your diet, you end up curing like a lot of things because that's something that you can control. That helps you get confidence because all this is about confidence too, right? Because what's the first thing someone says when you go, "Hey, you should be vegan?" They go, "Oh, I could never do that." And I just look at them and go, "Why couldn't you? Why couldn't you do that? You control what you eat, so you could change to a certain diet, or you could drink more water, or you could be a little bit more mindful of this, right? You are in full control. Again, that's why people hate epigenetics as well. When you tell someone they're in full control, that's the last thing they want to hear, right? You're in full control of your reality. Go seek your love, right? Bring your love to you, right? If you want to feel love in this world, throw love out there. Because if you show love to people and just show it like unconditionally, it's always going to come back because there are people that appreciate love. Yeah, of course. No one believes they have that much control. Of course, because everything in your life is told you you don't have control. That's why you always go see specialists, right? I always got to see specialists for everything to tell me that I'm not in control of my own life. I got to go see someone to tell me how to eat because I'm not in control of my whole life. I got to go see someone for this and this and this and this because I can't be in control, right? That's why we have a government because a government is pretty much me saying I can't defend myself. I can't provide for myself. I can't do anything for myself. So I need to somehow manifest and create this structure of I don't know, control so that I can feel like I'm free, but like we're not free, right? So we get caught up in the hypocrisies of these things. All these hypocritical things that we're talking about, right? If I'm free, why can't I go get married without paying taxes on it? Why am I paying a marriage tax if I'm free? Why do I gotta pay to get married and then pay all that other shit that goes on? That's not real, right? Then that's not a real institution. That's just a way to make money. Why is the state making money off me get married? Doesn't make sense, right? We gotta start looking at these things and say they just don't make sense. Call it for what it is, right? All these people are getting all these sicknesses, yet they keep telling us that this diet that they're recommending is working. It doesn't work. Pay to spend your life with someone, right? You're gonna pay to spend your life with someone, then like they're taken from you no matter what, right? So we gotta start to acknowledge that these things that are going on, these things that we've hold true in society, just because they've been passed down, aren't really the things. Because of what we start to realize when we do this is that our parents really weren't into it that much, right? The people around us, our family wasn't really into knowledge that much. They were just trying to survive. They were living in what the root chakra is. They were in survival mode, right? They were trying to go get food, make sure everyone had food, go get money, because all of us come from like a middle to low income area, right? So these people were the people that were grinding for what they had. They were grinding to put food on the table. They're grinding to keep you in the house. So they don't have time now to focus on these things like health, to focus on well-being, to focus on mental health, all these things. They weren't worried about it. They were just trying to make sure that you had enough to eat. And that's what's beautiful about them. That's why you never can really blame them, right? Because they were just so in it. But our generation, right, 90s and up, even the 80s too, but you know how some of those 80s babies are, right? There are a few good ones, right? But some of the 80s babies are a little weird. But like the 90s, late 80s, we'll say 85 and after, up, we are in the information era, right? The information era says that I have a computer in my pocket, right? I got a computer at my house. I got a computer on my wall. Some of us have 10 computers in our house, but then can't figure out how to get things done. It doesn't make sense, right? It's either that you don't want to get things done or you don't have the discipline to put it in order, right? So like I talked about yesterday, because again, with the epigenetics, because this is good for if any of you guys are sick or going through things, these are things that can help to twist your stuff around. Now with yesterday, I talked about manifesting a diet. Well, I talked about just manifesting within association. So I'll bring that up quick, right? So if I'm trying to manifest anything, right? So I use diet. I'm sorry for people who eat meat and then watch me. Okay, by the way, this right here, this is a grounding band, right? It's a wristband for grounding. So this plugs in. If you guys don't know what it is, go research what a grounding band is. These things are amazing, right? Anyway, so if you're not really sure about these things, so I'm gonna talk about manifestation. I'm gonna use diet because diet's a pretty simple one, right? And I'm sorry for people who are eat meat, but really, I'm gonna beat you out of eating meat if you watch it. So here's how we're gonna do this. So if I want to become a vegan or I want to start changing my diet, even if I don't want to become a vegan, right? Because I'm, the vegan thing is getting kind of off my shit now. Now I'm seeing enough where vegans just eat everything, right? But if I want to start to wrangle my diet and maybe become plant-based, vegan's good, good step, right? Vegetarian's good step, all these things. What you have to do, literally, is spend time every single day researching why these diets are good for you every day. If I'm watching this every single day, I'm watching things, I'm reading the shit that is reinforcing what's good about this diet. It's telling me all day, this is good, right? So I'm gonna start believing it. Now I'm starting to create a foundation in the belief. So now that I'm creating the foundation and belief, it's understanding. Now I start trying it. Because remember, knowledge plus action equals wisdom, right? So now that I have the knowledge base, right? Because I'm watching this stuff, now I'm gonna start trying to put it into action, right? So I go and get some of this. I switch up a couple meals a week, right? Maybe I eat meat 3 times a week now. Then maybe it's 2 times, then it's one, then it's none, right? But while I'm doing this, I'm still actively researching these things. I'm looking up different kind of healthy foods. I noticed that I have this blemish, so I'm gonna look up what are foods that are good for blemishes, what is things like this. So now I'm making that my reality, and then I'm matching it because I'm acting on it. I'm moving towards it. So all like then once you've done that, there's no again, like I said, reality wouldn't work, right? Reality existence wouldn't happen if you put 110% of your effort into something, didn't doubt yourself, and it didn't happen. Because look at it, there's so many stories out there. Look at all these celebrities who were sleeping on couches, sleeping in cars, but they had that belief in their dream. They still worked on their craft every day. They did their thing, and then boom. Now, not saying that celebrities are any people to look up to, right? All these celebrities are distractions. The celebrities will have you leading a horrible life if you watch them, right? But I'm saying take some of you gotta take the little bit of truth out, right? Because there's a lot of bullshit out here. But you gotta pick the truths, right? Now, like I said yesterday, does all that stuff that they do and things like that make sense? No, right? So don't take that. Just take the little things, right? So with epigenetics, how am I bringing this back in? Where are we coming back with it? Your reality is you. The more you teach yourself and tell yourself something, the more it starts to be real, right? So with anything, if I start to make it real enough to me, it'll become real because we are all creators. That's why there's so much of this like confusion over are we gods? Are we made in the likeness of gods? But because we do godly things, right? Every person can create. Whether I pick up a pencil and draw a mosaic, or I can speak in a way that it tantalizes you, or I can go out and build a house, I am creating, right? You're creating all the time. So once we start to understand first, we are creators. Whoa. Accept that you're a creator, right? Accept that you're godly, right? Even if you don't want to say you're God, accept you're godly. Because even if you're like Bible and you believe God's up there, you were made in his likeness. So if I was made in his likeness, I'm a creator. So on this plane, I can create shit, right? So I can create health just like we create sickness. We create sickness because we watch sick things, right? We watch people who kill each other, right? We watch all these like sick things. So I can create happiness. I can create health. I can create all of these things. There's nothing that's saying that I can't actually create this stuff. The only things that are telling you that you can't do this are people that are trying to get money from you. So that's where you have to look at the real devil, right? Only the people that are trying to get money from you tell you that you can't do it yourself when there are so many examples that you can, right? How many people are telling you that they're curing cancer just by changing their diets? How many times do you see it? I just saw it on Ricky Lake, right? I saw a guy just survive stage 3 colorectal cancer on Ricky Lake. How he's on Ricky Lake, right? And but like people still think they need to go to doctors. Right, when we look at doctors, doctors are, don't get me wrong, doctors are fantastic. Doctors, the idea of a doctor is good, right? But the medical system, the healthcare system, the things that they've been put into now, not good, right? Because now it's a business. It generates too much money. The pig's too big, right? So you got to be like, oh, we got to watch the cash cows. Anything that's making too much money, like billions and you got to sit back and say, wait a second here. These things are weird. right? Because they're too big to fail. Pharmaceutical companies are too big to fail, right? How can you take something to replace your mood? Is it really helping your mood, or is it just numbing you to something for a little bit? Just like weed. That's why I had to give up weed. I had to give it up because I felt like, I feel like this is replacing something. I'm doing like, I get the idea that this is a good feeling, but like, what if I could just create this euphoria in another way? Why am I doing this, right? What is this creating? Is this really euphoria though, right? Because now I just, every time I want to chill, I think I gotta go smoke, right? That's what now we're associating. Now it's not becoming a ritual, it's becoming habitual. It becomes a habit. We're using it as a crutch. And that's what we've done, right? In society, we've formed crutches all over the place, whether it's in the healthcare system, whether it's with TV, trying to find trends, trying to find all these things. We're creating crutches for ourselves to try and help us to cope because we don't want to believe that we're in full control because we're afraid, right? And it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid because it's a big thing to grasp. That's why you have to be ready to grasp that notion that you're in control. That's why you have to do the research to open and expand your consciousness in order to become in control. Because expanding your consciousness just means your association with things is greater. So the more things I can associate with, right? The more knowledge I have, the more I am able to create my reality because I know what it's made of. There's nothing that can fool me within my reality because my knowledge is so great that I can see, whoa, some of these things are weird because I read this that says, wait a second, I know that fruit grows for free. I know that all things grow for free. So why do I pay for them? Then it's like, damn, okay. Okay, so I got to get myself in a position where I'm not paying this crazy amount of money for things that's free. Or I got to be in a position where I can't, like, doing this and paying all this money here doesn't really make sense on this side here. So what are we doing, right? If I'm like for me, smoking, that costs money. Smoking weed costs money, right? Now you look at it, like the funny thing is, if you ever go in and you're someone who like takes it out of your bank account, go in and check and see how many times you took $40 out of your bank. See how many times you took 60, 80, 100. See how much money that adds up to at the end of the year. And if you're sitting piss poor, think about what that money would have just done for you, right? You're driving a hoopty, see what that would have done for you, right? It changes your perspective on things. Those bottles of Hennessy add up. That shit's $40 a bottle, right? I know some people go through like 3 of them a weekend, right? But then you talk to them on Wednesday and they're like eating dollar menu, right? Because it's hot, because that's where we're at right now. We're at this point where we want to live fast and die young, not knowing how long we can actually live, not knowing there are people in the Hansa Valley living to like 150 years old. And when you live to that age, you're not aging like we age here. People age bad in America. That's why we don't want to get old. We look at people like, oh shit, look at them. They're old as fuck. They're wrinkly, they're fat, their skin's all crazy, all this stuff. And again, there's some people who are healthy, and I don't mean to shit on some of you older people, but I'm just saying that like that's what we see. So that's what we associate old age with. So why would like everyone's like, look at me now, I look good. Like, why do I wanna no, but like you can look great your whole life, right? But we're just not even feeding ourselves, right, to be able to understand what health is. So we don't if no one is eating healthy and then they're always giving you opinions on how to be healthy, or like no one is mentally healthy as you can see, right? The reason why I'm gonna come here and be consistent on this for you guys, so you guys can see that I'm an okay frame of reference, right? And that's why a lot of you guys who fuck with me are people who know me, because you'll be like, okay, he's a pretty decent frame of reference. And that's what you have to remember, that we have to use proper frames of reference before we build an ideology, right? So a lot of us are trying to frame references off people in our life that we also see with flaws, big flaws, and we're trying to embody their lifestyle, but we're going to embody their flaws. You are your reality. So whatever I'm trying to make my reality, I'm going to make it all the way through. That's how great of creators we are, right? We're great creators. Because I bet every single person in here can look back and see something that they took from here to here that came out perfect for them because they paid time, attention, all that too, right? There are little things and big things that you could say that for because it was your creation, right? You took time to create it. So just like your reality, you got to really take time to develop yourself, develop your ego, develop your values, morals, principles, all these things. And once you've developed that, then you'll like your reality comes to you once you do it. You'll see it, right? Like I've been trying to create and develop this for like a year and a half, right? Before that, I had all the pieces, right? When you grow up, you learn lessons. I had memories, all these things. You learn lessons because remember, if I look back today, I can only remember certain things. I can't remember my whole life, right? But I can remember all the things that really taught me something, whether it was good or bad. You only bring what you need, right? So same thing with when you die. You're only gonna bring what you need. You like all this shit is gonna stay here. So you gotta remember that in life. So what are things that you need, right? Look back into your past. Look at the things that you remember, because most of the times they're things that hurt you or helped you, right? Look at what you learned from those. Now you're coming into this space. Some of you guys are in this space because you're trying to learn, right? The people who stay on and watch my shit or go on and watch my videos or go in the playlist, you're really trying to expand consciousness. So if you're trying to do that, let me show you, right? Because I spent enough time gathering the information to shape my house, right? I've been drawing the blueprint for a while. So once I'm drawing the blueprint and I think I've got the schematics ready, now it's time to apply that shit, right? And if you guys are ready to apply it, it's very easy to shape things, right? It's very easy to put things in perspective. And once you get to that point where you know it's you, right, and you can do this, you make jumps, right? Your future, what you want to do with your career just comes right to you. It comes to you. Because all of a sudden, once you establish values, principles, and morals, all those things, there's only few careers that will line up with it. And that's how you align yourself. So that's how easy it is. That's why it's so tough for people because we jump out of things and we jump into things right away. And once we jump into things, we don't get time to really establish ourselves, right? We always got to do things based on a need for something else. So I can't fully take time to figure out who I am because I need to make sure that I do this for this, or I can't fully take, but I got to worry about this person's feelings here and this here and that. No, you wake up, when you open your eyes, reality exists. When you close your eyes, reality doesn't exist, right? So like anything that's going on, if I just sat in my room with my eyes closed all day, I wouldn't know anything that happened, right? Does reality exist, right? If you locked yourself in a dark room, does the world go on around you? How do you know? You don't know, right? You don't know. You create your reality. That's like one of the basic ways to think that all this is you. So if all this is me and I'm not doing things for me, then what am I doing here, right? I'm just going to get caught, right? I'm going to be unhappy. I'm going to be in a place of disease because I'm diseased about where everything's at. I'm stressed, right? Once I start to realize that this is my reality, when I open my eyes, boom, I'm going to create what I want because I have to look at it. No one else has to look at your reality but you. So who are you to be in someone else's reality or be something that doesn't align with who you are, right? And that's the beauty of epigenetics. Epigenetics says that once you align yourself with who you are, your body is going to align yourself too. So if you're feeling sick and you start to align yourself with who you are, you start to figure out what health is, and you say, yo, I'm healthy because I do this for my health, I do this for my, you are going to be healthy as hell, right? You are going to be. You got to just show yourself that you're doing it. That's why, so when people talk about being an alchemist, manifesting, they try and make it seem so like wild. Like I gotta be Merlin. You don't have to be Merlin to manifest some shit. They want you to think that so you don't know how to manifest. Manifesting is just forming the opinion, forming the knowledge base, then acting on the knowledge base. That's basically it. That's basically the idea. I gotta make it logic, right? Because we have to remember the elements, right? So first is the air, right? Because air represents thought. Because thought just comes in like a wisp sometimes, right? Like something blew in your ear, right? So that's thought. So you have the thought. Now, Earth is logic, right? Like Taurus, it's logical, right? So now that I have the thought, I gotta try and make it logical. So I gotta think, how do I make this thought happen? So that's like when I'm trying to change my diet and I'm reading all the things into my diet because I had the thought, I need to change my diet. I just had a burger. I didn't shit for 3 days. I gotta figure this shit out. So now I'm gonna go and start doing my research, right? So now I had the thought. Now I'm gonna start making it logical, right? Now, once I'm making it logical, right? Now you have the water. Water and fire are energy and desire. So like you have to remember that fire is that burn, that desire, right? Energy and water is a form of energy because energy can be transformed in only two ways, by gas and by liquid, right? So if energy can be transferred in gas and liquid forms, right? Those are the two ways to do it, right? I have to be mindful of these things, right? So part of that is using that energy. Water is being able to be at follow through adversity. I got to be fluid, right? Because while I'm going towards my goal, things are going to come up, obstacles come up. And what is water but the most fluid thing ever, right? So now let's go over what we have. We have air, my thought, right? Earth, the logic behind the thought. I have my fire, which is my desire to do it, right? That let's go get it. Then I have the water that's going to allow me to be adverse because I know there's obstacles. So once I can put those four together, I manifest my destiny, right? You have to. If you just follow those four steps, it's a foolproof plan. That's what they mean when they say manifestation. That's what they mean when they say you're an alchemist. You are an alchemist because all of us can manipulate elements, right? We all manipulate elements every day. We manipulate the world every day, right? Because what is anything we do? Everything we do is made of elemental ethereal material, right? So I'm always manifesting and manipulating ether. A pencil is an ether. It's made of ethereal elements. So I'm manipulating ether right there. But see, we try and get too far out. And that's why they give you so much bullshit. They give us so much fluff, right? So instead of thinking of the actual practical within the, because remember what I said earlier, you always have to define the laws of the realm. So I have to define the laws of this environment first. Once I define the laws, then I can manipulate the laws in between. I can't get too spacey and I can't get too grounded. I gotta be right in the middle because I gotta still be able to believe that things that don't seem achievable are, but I gotta be grounded enough to still know that there's still things I gotta get done. That's why you gotta sit and you gotta master the four elements. That's why you can't just be all thought, right? If I come out here doing just straight thoughts and just, ooh, these are thoughts, you're gonna be like, okay, no, bro, that doesn't matter, right? I can't be all logic because if I'm all logic, then all of a sudden I can't dream anymore. I can't aspire, right? If I'm all desire, then I'm not gonna be all think. Like if I'm all fire, I just want to go out and do brunt work. There's gonna be nothing to it. If I'm water, I'm just gonna be loosey goosey, right? I'm never gonna be able to figure and stick. So we gotta take these things and use them. We got to use these things because these things are going to get us all far. We're going to be able to manifest, and that's my goal, right? My goal with this is to show people that you can manifest. I've been able to manifest things in my life, but at the same token, I've had flawed opinions too. I've had flawed ideologies, which ruined the process. They came in at the worst time, right? You look at the mobile barbershop, all that was a manifestation. Then all of a sudden, because I wasn't aware, right? I wasn't mindful of what my reality was, boom, something came up, right? I was able to get cheated at the end, like, well, boom, like right when I was going through the finish line, stop here, right? Because I wasn't mindful. But that made me learn. Now I sit back and go, oh shit, yeah, but I can make shit happen, right? We can make shit happen whenever we want. Anyone can do that. I do things to show that everyone could do this stuff, right? I was one of the biggest perpetrators with a bad diet. Anyone who knows me knows. Because I thought I had to be so jacked and big. If you looked at me before, I used to be in the gym, all this stuff. Now I'm skinny. Why? Because I'm healthy now. But back then, I was trying to manifest this projection. I was trying to project my ego into this notion of being fit life or jacked or swole, all these different things. So when I'm manifesting this idea, right, I was seeing that people had to eat a lot, calories, macros, all. So I start to manifest that myself. So to wrap this up, right? Epigenetics, right? If you didn't see the stuff, go on to the YouTube channel, right? The link is in my bio, right? Go into the biology of life, epigenetic videos, and there's a like just go into my playlist if you ever have time. Instead of going on Netflix and watching a bunch like binge watching TV shows, go and learn something. Spend time learning yourself because know thyself. That's the key to this reality. Knowing who you are, right? So go check out some of the stuff because I put it all there for you, right? There's spiritual stuff, there's diet stuff, there's biology of life, so you can start to understand these. What's the difference between Newtonian theory and quantum theory and how those help you align your life, right? Go check it out, right? So we can keep building, because the notion of these classes that some people are going to be here from the beginning, some people are going to fall off, some people are going to jump in. No matter what, there's a regiment. There's things you can learn. There's things you can do for yourself in the meantime, because you got to be manifesting between these 1 hour conversations. You got to be manifesting your reality on your own time, right? So go in and do those things. Take those little time. Put that effort into your body, because your body knows. Your subconscious and conscious know when you're taking time to do things for it, because it always rewards you, right? Any person who wants to lose a little weight then actually does some stuff, their body always rewards them. So take that as your idea and your notion and your confidence and go do this, because there's nothing you can't do. You hear me talking, this isn't anything you couldn't talk like or learn. That's why I say, I am you and you are me. I love you because I love myself, because you are a direct reflection of me. No, I'm not different than anyone else. I might just be able to put it in a way that you can understand it. I can put it in a way that now you're open to it, right? But then it's on you after, because then you're gonna teach me something. People teach me stuff, and I'm just like, oh wow, that's crazy, because everyone has a different perspective. Imagine if we all around were looking at the same type of quality, good information like this, where you're empowered information. That's what this is. This is information that empowers you with their own unique perspectives. It's beautiful. That's how you create a beautiful world, when everyone's empowered in their perspective, empowered in their being, empowered in their knowledge, right? And that's what I'm here for. That's why I don't charge, right? That's why you can hit me up anytime if you want to meet, consult, you need help, you need herbs, you need this. I'm a certified herbalist. I've done all these. I don't care. Just let me know. Because for me, that's not what this is about. This is about empowerment. Because the more people that are empowered, the more society is going to move forward. Then we don't got to worry about certain stupid shit. Because society's got it. Because people get it. Right? The only reason that everyone's fearful now is because we know there are just people out there that just don't get it. Right? So the only way to get people to get it is to educate, right? And to be educated yourself, so you can then be in the position to educate. Because each one of you have about 5 to 10 people that you're going to educate, right? I'm educating you, but there's a whole group of people that you know that I don't know, and they're not going to come see me. They're going to go to you. So if they're going to go to you, you're going to be the one to educate them. You're going to be in my position, right? You're going to be sitting up there like, hey, here you go. But then you're going to have to deal with some of the things that I go through too. You're going to have to see that some people just don't like truth. Some people don't want that. Some people don't want you to tell them that they're in complete control of their reality, that you can do this, that you can do that. They don't want that. They want people to tell them you can't, so then they can be okay with where they're at. But you guys aren't going to be that. That's why you guys are attentive, right? That's why you guys contact. That's why you guys do these things, right? Because you want to be those people that take it to the next level. And I'm here for you. Whatever you need. I'll be whatever tool you need to expand your consciousness and ascend your mind. Do whatever you got to do, because I've been there. I've seen it. I do the meditation. I do this. This is what it looks like when someone actually does it, right? You got a lot of people that say they do this and they charge you and do things that don't seem like they actually do it. Well, it's someone who actually is doing it, right? So, again, check out the page. All the links are in the bio. If you want to go subscribe, do whatever, I don't care, right? Or if you just kind of want to go watch the channel, get that knowledge. You could check out Twitter if you want to see the epigenetics with Bruce Lipton. I posted the link there. If not, go look it up on the page, right? Or just go look into epigenetics. It's a good thing to know. It's a great tool to help yourself and go help people around you. All right? So with that, I'm going to sign off for the day. I love you guys, and I love myself. Have a great day, and thank you.